Well, hello, Xavier and Owen and Noah May. I am going to read one of my favorite books from one of my favorite authors. It's called The Mitten by Jan Brett. It's a very snowy day in this book. The Mitten, it's a Ukrainian folktale adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett. Pay close attention to the pictures. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally Baba made them. Their grandmother's called Baba. You guys call me Bela or Boila. After she finished, she said, when you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you have your snow white mittens. So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. I wonder what this is. A mole tried tunneling along, discovered the mitten, and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size. So he decided to stay. I wonder what this is. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. So there's a rabbit and a mole. I wonder what's next. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along, having spent the day looking under wet leaves for living things to eat. He decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. I wonder what's next. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumble. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Uh-oh, I see a fox. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten, and a waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotted by to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in when the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth. They gave the fox lots of room. A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be. But what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged to many times its size. But Baba's good knitting held fast. Oh, I see a little mouse. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. Oh, I see it. You see the little mouse? Oh, look, he's realizing he only has one mitten. I wonder what he's going to do. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was his lost mitten against the blue sky. Did I skip a page? I did. I have to go back. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Ah, 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 choo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up in the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was his lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. The end. But I wonder what Baba is thinking. One mitten is very, very big, and the other one is small. So I happen to have another book by Jan Brett called The Three Snow Bears, and she's my favorite author. That means she wrote this book. I'm going to take this off. Jan Brett, The Three Snow Bears. Come back, Aluki shouted as her huskies floated out to sea. Oh no, she knew that although an ice floe is a good place to fish, it is a bad place to lose a dog team. Not far away, a snow bear family had just started to eat their breakfast, but it was way too hot for Baby Bear. Owie! Yelled Baby Bear. My breakfast burned my mouth. We'll go for a stroll and let the soup cool, Mama Bear said. Aluki was running along looking for her dogs when she came upon the biggest igloo she had ever seen. Who lives here, she wondered. I wonder who lives in that big igloo. Aluki ducked inside. Right away, she smelled something delicious. Across the room, she saw a big bowl, a middle-sized bowl, and a small bowl. Surely the good smell was coming from the three bowls. Sounds a little bit like Goldilocks, I wonder. Aluki took a sip from the biggest bowl. "Ow!" she cried out. "Too hot." She took a sip from the middle-sized bowl. "Ooh, too cold." She tipped up the littlest bowl and drank every drop. She said, "Not too hot, not too cold. Just right." In the next room, Aluki spotted 3 pairs of beautiful boots standing in a row. She put on the middle-sized boot, too fancy. She put on the biggest boot, too big. She put on the littlest pair, just right, she said, wiggling her toes in the soft fur. Oh no, Those are the bear's boots, I bet. Oluki walked into the last room and found a long sleeping bench piled high with fur covers. Heat from an oil lamp warmed her cheeks and made her sleepy. Time for a nap, she thought. She crawled under the highest mound of covers. Too lumpy, she grumbled. She tried the middle bed with the furry fringe cover, but sank down so far that she could hardly breathe. Too soft, she said. She rolled over into the smallest sleeping place. The furry blanket was cozy and warm, and the pillow was just her size. Just right, Aluki murmured, and she was asleep before she could take her boots off. If Aluki hadn't fallen fast asleep, she might have heard her dogs barking happily. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear had spotted them adrift in the strong current and gone out to save them. The Snow Bear family was pushing Aluki's dog team back toward the igloo and safety. Papa Bear crawled into the igloo and saw his big bowl sitting in a pool of spilled soup. Someone has been tasting my soup, he roared. Mama Bear rushed in and saw that her soup had been sloshed around too. Someone has been sipping my soup. And someone found my soup, sputtered Baby Bear in her high, squeaky voice. And they ate it all up. Papa Bear ran into the next room and saw his boots in the middle of the floor. Someone has been trying on my boots, he boomed in his big voice. Mama Bear put on her fancy boots. Someone has had these boots on too, she huffed, and the fur is all bunched up. Baby Bear saw that her boots had disappeared. Someone has taken my boots and left behind these not as good ones, she wailed. That means she's crying. Wah. The bears ran into the bedroom. Someone has been sleeping in my bed, Papa Bear bellowed. Someone has been sleeping in my bed too, Mama Bear cried. Baby Bear peeked at her little bed and squeaked, Someone's been sleeping in my bed, and here she is. Aluki opened her eyes and saw the three bears, noses only inches away. They're so close. They don't look very happy, do they? She hopped out of bed and dove between Papa Bear's huge furry legs. Oops, I almost skipped a page. Quicker than a seal, Aluki ran from room to room until she burst outside. Her huskies bounced around, barking and smiling their doggy grins. Aluki and her dogs flew over the frozen ice, dodging ridges and cracks. She looked back to wave a thank you to the snow bears. She couldn't see them, but she heard a big gruff voice, a middle-sized voice, and a high, squeaky voice calling to her. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. The end. I hope you enjoyed listening to my favorite author, Jan Brett, in The Snow Bears and The Mitten. Have a great day. Bye.